Thank you very much for joining me on the stream today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah.
Really
So your name is Danny,
yeah,
and you play in the band Inglorious,
that's right.
and you guys go by We Are Inglorious on Instagram.
Yeah, that's just the Instagram tag, but the band's
Yeah.
called Inglorious. Yeah,
Yep. And well, actually, I mean, I'm looking forward to it because I've been checking you guys out and snooping around on your Instagram pages and
that's
stuff like that. And I was wondering if you could maybe go through some of the members of the band so we can familiarize ourselves with the band. And I'll try to pull up some pictures. I'm doing the best I can. So we'll go maybe start with the gentleman all the way on the side that we can
absolutely,
see.
man. So we've got Phil Beaver, the best drummer in the world, on the left there. There's me in the middle of Phil and Nathan James, absolutely amazing singer. We've got Dan Stevens as well, who's an amazing guitar player, a brother of mine, and we've got Vinny Cola on the end there as well. Which
I'm blocking Vinny, I guess. So I'm sorry, but I'm trying to get all the members in. So because
absolutely.
I find it's very important, especially in bands, that everybody is recognized. You know, it's not always about the lead singer, but it's the bass player and the guitar player are just as important, of course.
I'm really lucky to play in a band with musicians of that standard. You know, they really push me, man. They're amazing musicians.
Yeah, and well, that's obviously that's it. You know, I don't know. Maybe you can answer this, but like, of course, there's plenty of talented, really amazing musicians, but also at the same time, especially when you're touring and you're playing shows, it's also good to have that those same people are really nice people as well.
Absolutely. That's probably one of the biggest things about being in a band, you know, because the show that people see, you're on stage for what, an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, you know, and that's the show that people see. But what we see every day is the inside of a tour bus or the inside of a venue or a dressing room. And when you're sharing close quarters with band members, you have to get along. And, you know, once again, super lucky in the sense that everyone in this band gets on really well. We're always looking out for each other. And, you know, especially at the stage we're at as well, it's, you know, you can't be all traveling separate in private jets like Guns N' Roses, you know, it's just not the case. So you have to be in close quarters and comfortable with each other and each other's presence. But yeah, man, really lucky to share a stage with these guys. They're amazing. I'm so glad to be a band.
And how long have you guys been going on with the band?
So the band, I believe the band's been together and, you know, playing shows, etc., making albums for about five something years, maybe 5-6 years. I've been with the band for like just over a year, maybe a year and a half or so. There was a lineup change where me, Vinny, and Dan stepped in, and yeah, it's been a hell of a ride already, and we can't wait to push on into the future.
Yeah, and as we look at some of your photos, obviously these are from some of the shows that you guys have done. Yeah. You guys are based in, what would you say your band is based out of? What city?
I guess originally it's kind of like London area, but we're actually scattered everywhere. So, I mean, Vinny on the bass, he's Brazilian, so he comes from Brazil.
Okay.
Which is really cool because he has not only different musical influences, but he's got his whole background that he brings with, you know, being Brazilian as well. So I believe that he studied, you know, Brazilian music as well on the bass. So that is really cool. Dan is from Cambridge in the UK. Nathan this is an interesting one. So Nathan lives in Devon, and originally, you know, when I first met him, he was living in Reading, which is not too far out from London. But he lives in Devon now. He has a farm, which is really cool. So when we go to write, we all head to his place in Devon, and, you know, we're surrounded by animals and
That's cool.
All this nature, so we can write. We can write and get away from the city. I was living in London, as well as Phil was living in London as well, and Vinny was living in London. Dan comes into London a lot, so yeah, I guess you could say, London, but everyone has actually moved away from there now.
Okay. And yeah. I can hear it in your accent, of course, the UK British accent, which everybody loves. And,
oh, really?
Oh, yeah, of course. So you guys have been together. You've been in the band for years. So actually, getting into you now specifically, I've noticed. So you guys, I guess, have been recording some stuff, and this looks like that looks like a fabulous, amazing studio. Where's that at?
Yeah, that's in Cardiff, in Wales.
Okay.
We recorded with an amazing producer called Ramesh Dodingoda, who is like, he's one of the best, man. He's literally, what he did to the album, what he did to us as players, and for our performance was amazing. And I expected it to be good, but the outcome was amazing, actually. And listening to the results is, I don't know, man. Like I'm a big fan of things that require kind of hard work, so you can look back and just see results. And one of those things is making an album. You can step back at the end of all the hard work. It's not just a month or so in the studio. It's obviously, as you know, it's like years and years of writing and creating. So to be able to step back and listen to that product, polished by this producer is absolutely amazing, because you can just, step back and just go, wow, that's some good hard work there.
And I'm just looking at the chats, and we have some fabulous musicians watching. We have Pob in the chats, and actually there's a lot of people that are obviously here to see you today, which is super fantastic. I really love it when people are commenting in the chats, and I try to read them as much as I can, but I also want to focus on you, and I want to talk to you about your guitar playing. So obviously you are quite the guitar player, and
thank you very much.
So tell me about your guitar playing, and actually while we're at it, and I've been saying this the past few streams just because it's very relevant. We recently just lost one of our guitar heroes, Eddie Van Halen, and I was just wondering your thoughts on maybe the top 5 guitar players that inspired you to play guitar.
I mean, Van Halen for me was, most people in rock music, it's a massive influence, because of the way he changed lead guitar, and the way he innovated and, pushed in not just playing, but technology as well. I mean, there's a photo of me with the JCM 800 there, and it's players like Van Halen that were just smashing the hell out of these plexis, which was the model before. He was smashing them up and, cranking the game. Without people like that around to innovate and push in technology, that the amp, like the JCM 100 wouldn't be around. So that's just a pure example of the influence that he had on, on the world.
Yeah.
And, I can talk all day about it, but funnily enough, I kind of discovered Van Halen's playing later on in my, my journey of guitar. And for me, instantly, like when I was a kid and watching guitar videos, it was just, the first one is obviously Slash, for a lot of people, he's a massive rock, guitar icon. And after getting into that and Guns N' Roses, I got into Zakk Wylde with Ozzy Osbourne as well. And, his playing is so kind of, that vibrato is so wide, and it's filled with so much attitude, and it's so in your face that as a kid watching YouTube and watching his videos and seeing in Total Guitar Magazine his playing, it was just like, what the hell? He looks like a Viking. And then he had the kind of SG shaped guitar with the flying V back bits, and I was just like, come on, man, that is like one of the coolest things. So I remember playing a lot of guitar when I was younger and watching Zakk Wylde and trying to imitate that, like the really fast bits, which as a kid as well, you just want to play fast. So that was a massive influence for me. Further down the line, I started getting into people like Joe Bonamassa. So that started really, really kind of maturing my playing.
Yeah.
Because he's got that kind of blues feel and he's got that blues touch where, you know, he can serve the song and he can bring out melodies, and that really helped my songwriting as well. And it definitely impacted my influence towards things that I brought to Inglorious as well, and to this band, because it's that blues kind of rock approach, you know. It's got that kind of that cool feel, and I like to think that I've taken, you know, little bits and bobs from Bonamassa. Obviously nowhere near as good, but I like to think that I've tried to take some bits from him. And yeah, maybe the top one overall, not the earliest one, but one of the, you know, the top one overall is Yngwie Malmsteen for me. Like, I feel like he's like Eddie Van Halen in the sense that he's an innovator of what he's done as well, you know, taking that classical thing, the neoclassical thing, and applying it to rock music, which is normally that blues kind of approach, and he's kind of applied these different scales and different kind of sounds to rock guitar, and he did that really, he just like the insanely fast thing. And yeah, for me, that was the biggest one, because that's when I really started to go, okay, I need to change the way I approach the guitar in my right hand, because he's just doing it so easily. So I need to play easier, you know, I need to change something. So for me, that really opened doors for me, because it just meant I became a better player through pushing myself to try and be like him, you know. But yeah, I guess they're my top four. And the thing, I know the question was top five, but I can't decide on a fifth to take that last podium kind of place. There's too many, man.
It's too many. Yeah. And it changes day by day even, I would have to think. So
yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
But I would have to say, I would have to, I play guitar as well, and I'd have to say my top five would be Jimi Hendrix, Frank Zappa, Jeff Beck, Steve Vai, and Eddie Van Halen. Those would be my guys.
That's a good selection, man. You kind of you want a good selection of players that cover all different types of things as well. You've got to cover it all, man.
Yeah. So also you have quite the array of guitars.
And that's like, I've got some behind me actually.
Cool. Oh wow, look at that! Look at you.
Yeah, man. This is my little home studio.
So the band is from. I mean, you could tell me, but from what I see, I mean, it seems like you guys are playing pretty big shows, and you guys are pretty popular. You guys have your management and stuff, and. So do you have are you playing with any guitar companies per se, or are you just kind of doing your own thing with guitars?
So I'm endorsed by Gibson Guitars.
Wow.
You've got this bad boy up here. This is my number one, Les Paul. This is a 58 reissue. And yeah, I get this refretted by an awesome friend of mine. He's an amazing guitar tech called Andy Gibson, and he refrets all my Gibsons as well, just because there's nothing wrong with the frets that are on the Gibsons already, but I just like the huge ones. Going back to the Zakk Wylde thing, you know, he has massive frets, and Malmsteen has scallops obviously on his Strat. So I just like the big frets because it just means you can really get under the note. And then I have this bad boy here, which is
that's sweet. SG.
Really cool. Yeah, SG special. Same thing with the frets, and on all the guitars as well, I have bare knuckle pickups, which are really, really cool pickups. Like, obviously there's big brands out there like DiMarzio, Seymour Duncan, and everyone likes what they like. The reason I like bare knuckle pickups is they have like a certain feel to them. It's really 3D, and it kind of, when you play it, especially through a nice amp, you play it through, you know, a good amp like a Marshall, you can really feel the kind of the 3D response that you get from it. What you put in, you get out, but also it's got a real character, and it's all about the feel for me. So that really opens up my playing, and pushes me. And then I have this bad boy here, which is really cool. Gibson Explorer. But yeah, it's got that old school look, man. I just love I love the pickups, man. Really love them. I love the cream, man. So, but yeah, that's the guitars I use. Everyone needs a couple Fenders here and there as well. So I've got a Telecaster and a Strat that I use in the studio. And then, yeah, Marshall amps, man. Absolutely love Marshall amps. It's just going back to the influences of who I'm influenced by. If I name all my influences, they pretty much all use Marshall. So naturally, the sound in my head is just like Marshall amps. And I've tried to play other amps. I just can't get on with them.
It seems like we have quite the guitar geeks in the chats, because somebody was asking, what bare knuckles do you have?
Okay, so these are good questions. I like talking about this stuff. So like, keep it going, man. So in the Les Paul, I have a pickup called the Riff Raff in the bridge, and in the neck it's called a Mule. And they're two different sets that you can purchase, or you can mix and match.
Yeah.
I believe the Riff Raff, I'm not sure if I'm correct here, but I heard a story that apparently the Riff Raff was made for Angus Young because all the sweat was getting into his pickups that he was touring. And I think Bare Knuckle made him a pickup or something called the Riff. I might be totally wrong there, but I read that somewhere. And then the Mule is like another kind of PAF style guitar with guitar pickup, which is like, it's kind of based on like 59 Les Paul kind of sound, you know. So they have a really cool dynamic response, and it's just classic, man. It's got a classic sound through a Marshall. In the SG, I have P90s, and they're called True Grit pickups by Bare Knuckle. And you know, for anyone watching that plays guitar, that's like, I really like the sound of Bare Knuckle pickups, but I can't afford the full range, like the options. There's an option called Boot Camp where you can basically get just a set of like low gain, medium gain, or high gain. And the medium gain is called True Grit. And I'd highly recommend them because they're just as good. There's just less options. And, you know, you knock a few pounds off the price as well. So I'd recommend that for anyone looking at Bare Knuckles if they can't quite stretch to the selected prices. And then in the Explorer, I have a set of Emeralds, which I think they're kind of based off an old school PAF sound, but they're kind of wax potted, wound a little bit more higher output. But I just kind of like to have different pickups in each guitars, because you get in the studio and you play, you want to pick something else up to have a completely different sound, as you know. But yeah, they are the pickups, man.
It sounds like, do you give guitar lessons and things like that?
Yeah, I do actually.
Okay.
I do, especially in lockdown. So
right.
I was doing a little bit of teaching, you know, before lockdown, and as soon as lockdown kicked in, it was like my inbox was blowing up, and loads of people are stuck at home, and they're like, oh, okay, I want to learn some guitar. I want to take some lessons. So yeah, I teach a lot of guitar, and it's not, to me, teaching guitar is not just like, oh, let's just log on and like, you know, log on and teach some people. It's genuinely comes from a place of passion, because I like seeing people progressing guitar, and I love guitar, and seeing people improve to a point where they're a million miles away from where they started. It's like, yeah, I get a real kick out of it, man. It's awesome, really awesome to see.
So you give guitars online, you can do like online lessons.
Yeah, so obviously we have the power of, you know, the internet. Look at what we're doing now. We're doing a
live stream.
Instagram live stream. So it's the same kind of thing. Skype, you know, Zoom, all that stuff.
Okay.
But yeah,
well, that's fantastic to know, because you obviously are a very well-rounded player, and it seems like you know quite a lot about guitar, and you're with Gibson, which is very prestigious company, I must say. And for everybody watching, you know, definitely afterwards, if anybody's interested, just hit Dany up, and I'm sure he could probably set something up for you guys as far as giving lessons. And I wanted to get into that with the lockdown and stuff, because, you know, like you said, right now, all the bands, there's shows, most of the shows are canceled, depending on what country you're in. I know in the US, they're all canceled. I'm here in Finland, and I play with a legendary rocker named Andy McCoy, and we've been playing shows all throughout the summertime. We've been playing festivals in the summertime, and as far as even a few weeks ago, we played a couple shows here in Finland. So fortunately here, but they're starting to do lockdowns now here as well. Yeah. The lockdown, the second wave is coming in, and this is my opinion, but I think things are going to get worse before they get better as far as lockdown goes.
For sure, man. Yeah, it's going that way.
So in the meantime, and a lot of speaking of Andy, he said a really good quote in the beginning of this lockdown. He said, the bands that are throwing in the towel now, the bands that are saying, you know what, things are getting canceled, we just don't want to do it anymore. It's sort of like we're weeding out the people that really have the drive and determination to really keep going are going to stay in this business. And the people that just really weren't, their hearts and souls weren't into it, they're going to drop out. So when we do come back and things do open back up, we're really going to see the best music possible. And I really feel that I agree with him on that. How do you feel about that?
I mean, it's definitely it's a good way of looking at it. I do feel like there's some musicians out there that are like up and coming that might have like, full-time day jobs, and they're doing music on the side, and they're really trying to push their music as well, that are definitely deserving of, spotlight and good shows, etc., and success. And yeah, I could definitely argue as well that, people might have opportunities taken away from them and not necessarily, they don't deserve it to be taken away from them. So there's that as well. However, what you're saying in the sense that, you're going to get some of the best kind of left because they're driven and they're working hard and it's their whole lives. You're absolutely right. You're going to get, a lot of these musicians that it means their whole life to them. It's not just something that they can throw away and go, I'm going to, I mean, here in the UK, we've had a bit of a thing where people are saying creatives and musicians, or just in general, just people should find new jobs and retrain for things. And that, to me, is not an option. I've trained my whole life to play guitar, and it's the same as many other people, all the members in the band, I'm sure all the members in your band, yourself. It's like, it's one of those things where it's like, we've trained our whole lives to do a certain thing. It's not like we've gone to university to study it, etc. We genuinely just have this passion within us. It's very difficult to kind of strip that away from under your feet and go, well, now you're going to work in an office, or now you're going to do this. It's,
That's a very good point. That's a very good point that you bring up. And I have a few words to say, because first of all, there are things, okay, so the shows are canceled for the most part all around the world. Okay, so obviously that's not an option right now, but there still are options. There's teaching, giving guitar lessons, there's writing songs, there's recording songs, there's working on music videos to release to fans. There's getting online. Right now, Dany is doing a live stream with me. He's keeping his name, his brand, his band, everything relevant. And the more we do these things and we show up and we tell people, hey, we're still here. And also just listening to what you're saying, because by you telling us how you feel, we're all learning from what you, like, I live stream with so many people and I learn so much from everybody's perspectives and their thoughts and things. And if it wasn't for us doing this, nobody would know. And it's really good to see that you're here and that you're saying, like, look, this is a tough time. People are being forced to almost have to try to do new professions, but that's not an option for the ones like myself, like yourself, who it's not an option. We can't do that. Now, I was just talking to Eugene from the band Ginger, and he's over in Ukraine, and he was saying that the governments are vary too, because in the US and Finland, in Ukraine, in the UK, the governments can start saying, like, okay, We are going to say that things aren't closed for you working musicians, but the bars are closed. So they're forcing people in a way. It's like, well, now we can't rely on maybe getting some social assistance or some grants from the government if you're a musician out of work, because the rules are, they're like, well, technically we're not saying that everything's closed, so you can go out and work, but we all know that everything is closed and we can't go out and work. So it's like the governments are playing games with people's livelihoods, and it's very tough. So it just leaves it up to us to have to figure out ways to figure out how to pull through this time. And of course, if you have to get a job doing construction or working somewhere just to keep yourself afloat until you can get back in it, we all have to do what we have to do, and there's no shame in that.
And that doesn't mean you're a failure at what you do. It just
Not at all.
In a way, you're a strong person that you can actually put aside, your pride for a second and just go, I'm going to work so that I can carry on doing what I was born to do, what I love. So if you're in that position and you're watching, then, absolutely don't feel like you're a failure. You should just go out and do what you have to do to carry on doing what you love. And like I said, I'm lucky enough and you're lucky enough to kind of be, making a living in different ways to touring and playing like we normally do. But it applies to everyone that we should all, just hang in there and do what we can. Just hang in there and do what we can. That's all we can do.
Yeah.
Doing what we're born to do, what we love,
I think you're exactly right. And I will say it's a struggle for all of us. And I think it's very good for us to talk about that, because like you said, there's people that are up and coming musicians that just started getting into this game right when the lockdown happens.
Yeah.
And it's like, what are they thinking? Because this has never happened really before in the history of music. And it's very, it could be very rough, but at the same time, what we all need to understand is, other than like the top of the top, like I'm talking like Metallica, all the big bands that have,
sure, yeah,
they're going to be, most likely they're going to be okay. But it's everybody else. We're all in this together. We're all in the same boat. So we all need to work out ways to like work with each other at this point. I think more and more, I think we need to start working together. And that's one of the reasons why I'm going to put together an internet radio station and have all the bands that I've been streaming with try to get involved with that. And,
nice.
And I love streaming and talking to new people. It was fantastic that you and I, we can tell everybody, we kind of just met online maybe like a few days ago. And now here we are.
Not long ago, man.
Yeah. And now we're talking for the first time. We haven't chatted before this. So, but it's so great to meet really cool, interesting people like yourself and learn about your band, Inglorious. Now, what kind of stuff do you guys have coming up as far as like, any news you can give us, like with like songs or shows or whatever it is that you guys might have?
Yeah, so coming up, I can't say too much just yet. I can't say dates, or I can't release too much information. However, it is kind of known to our fans that follow us that we have just recorded an album. We've just recorded an album a few months back. People kind of knew it was coming. They knew that we were writing it, etc., working hard towards it. So you can expect some information real soon. If you head over to our social media, there's actually going to be a release of the album cover real soon.
Okay.
I think it's Friday. We're starting to release some stuff. So you can check out our social media and follow us there, and there'll be updates. And as I said, I can't really say many dates, etc., on what's happening, but you can expect some really cool stuff really soon. Check that out. And also, we announced a tour I think 2 weeks back or something, around 2 weeks ago, we announced the tour, and that's going to be all throughout the UK. So I believe that photo on there, that's the last tour that we did.
Okay.
That's all right.
So you have a newer one, this one?
That's the one, yeah.
Yes, okay, cool.
So, yeah, man, that's the tour that we're going to do. It's from April to May. And we're going to do, hell of a lot of venues in the UK. It's really cool.
Dude, that's fantastic. And of course, like you said, if you're, so that the other thing is, hopefully there's some people here that are watching the stream today, and actually most likely a lot of people watch this afterwards also. So if you're just finding out about Dany and about his guitar playing and his lessons, and you're also finding out about the band Inglorious, that are just about to release an album with a whole bunch of other things, definitely what I think is important is not only if you like listening to the music, share it with your friends if you like it. I say this all the time. I sound like a broken record, but you know, right now the music community needs everybody's support for us to keep going. And I'll say this again, but you know, when you're playing 300, 500 to 800 seat venues, which for me personally, it's my favorite to go to see a band, and it's also my favorite to play, because those are just intimate, amazing venues.
Yeah.
And those venues are starting to shut down. And right now what we need people to listen to Inglorious, share their music, buy their merchandise, because by keeping the bands going, the bands will then be able to go into the venues and fill the venues when the venues open up. And therefore the venues hopefully will not all close. Mm-hmm. And that's a huge issue right now. I want to know your views of that, like, you know, the venues and stuff like that. Are the venues in the London area, are they still doing okay, or what's going on there?
You know what? I've seen a lot of bad news about venues recently. Not just venues, but bars. You know, rock bars that support, you know, rock music, and you know, there's a bar called Crowbar in London. Yeah, yep. That shut down, and that was like Dave Grohl's favorite place to go in London. It's had so many rock stars through there, and it's just such a cool vibe. And that's their whole life. The person that owns that bar, just like us with bands and music and what we do, that's their whole life that's just been whipped away from the bottom of their feet, you know, by the government and the situation. So, yeah, I guess on that topic, the same as music and arts, you just have to, if you appreciate and gain from the experience of going to a gig, going to a venue, you know, going to a rock bar, if you gain from that experience and that means a lot to you, then just do all you can to keep that open. You know, if it just means supporting it by purchasing something from them, like a t-shirt or, you know.
Yeah, I mean, but it sounds like it almost doesn't make sense, but like honestly, by supporting Inglorious, even if you're doing something simple by sharing on your Facebook or your social media, sharing your band with your friends, as a listener, in return, it is like a big circle, because
yeah,
that's exactly what we need. Like places like the Crowbar and places that are closing down, if they knew that, you know, when things get back together, these bands are ready to fill their venues up, they might try to keep it afloat that much longer, just so they can anticipate the wave of people coming back, because we all realize like how much we love live music. And if live music stopped and it was only in the small little coffee shops and the big ice halls and everything in the middle was kind of like gone, that's what we're looking at here. I mean, I'm not saying it's that bad, but we don't want that to happen. So we really do need to support, you know, even like O2 Academy sized places. I mean, those are like the cool places to play.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely. It's an experience, and you know, the people that work so hard, we appreciate that. You know, a lot of our fans, they're working really hard to earn the money that they have, and you know, money is tough at the moment, but we understand that, you know, they work super hard and they purchase tickets to kind of put aside a night to go see a band and see an experience. And it's kind of, it's like they're taking their mind off the week or whatever. You know, you can just forget everything that happens in the week and everything that's going on to enjoy an experience and share, you know, the love of music and expression and art, you know, with a whole room of people that are experiencing the same thing. And that's the reality of you know, what bands are doing and what they're doing for people and the experience that it is. So we're totally understanding of how hard it is to get money at the moment and how hard you have to work for, you know, to buy a ticket. But as we said, if you like these things, keep the experience going, make sure that it keeps afloat, you know, support these things, buy tickets and t-shirts and whatever it takes, you know, whatever you can afford.
True that, true that. I think those are very wise words. And I know we should start wrapping the stream up soon, but I wanted to bring up the fact that the other day in Italy, a lot of the roadies got together in the city's square, and they were banging on the road cases, because we got to remember, it's not just the musicians, there's so many people that take a show to make a show happen. It's not, so it's a big deal.
Yeah.
It's a big deal right now. And
absolutely, it's not just the band's lives, you know, it's everything that happens around the band that makes the show happen. It's the sound engineer, the on-stage guy, you know, the lighting guys, all these people that make a living off touring with bands are having to go to other sources of making money. And, you know, these people have families, they have houses and bills to pay. So it's just, yeah, it's a crazy, crazy time. But as we said earlier, you just have to kind of stick in there. And like we said, if you're in the position where you're thinking, I'm going to have to do something else, I feel like a failure. Absolutely don't, you know, just know that we're all gonna hang in there. We're all trying really hard. We're all in it together, and in the end, it's all gonna work out. We're gonna get there in the end.
Very, very, very soothing words from you, Dany. I really appreciate that, and I really hope everybody listening can understand that. You know, we kind of sound like we're talking doom and gloom, but at the same time, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And I'm not saying it's all bad. Things are going to get better, but if they get a little bit worse before they get better, just anticipate that and do what we were saying. I mean, just support the arts, support music. It's not just music, it's the restaurant business. It's everybody, you know, everybody's going through this together. And as long as we can stick together and not act a fool, as they say, and be courteous and respectful for each other. And also it's, you know, sometimes people like to say that these bands that are performing, that they're letting people get risk of getting sick, and I do want to say something about that, because at the end of the day, it's the government officials and the people that are putting on these concerts. If they are saying, listen, the show is okay, you can perform the show, you know, places in Germany, places in Finland, when they do shows, there's different regulations and different things that everybody deals with. Sometimes you have to sit at the table, sometimes you have to be congregated in groups of 100 and sporadically through the venue. But it's not up to the bands. The bands just want to play. We just want to perform. But we are not going to perform if there's any chance of people getting sick. That's not our intentions. As musicians, we all can agree it's not up to us. So when people get upset about that, you got to remember it's not us. It's the people above us that are putting these rules and these regulations. If they say it's okay to do it, then we're going to do it because we love to play music, and it's, you know, nobody's risking anybody here. So we just want to go out and have a good time, and we hope that when people do go back to the shows, that they wear masks, that they social distance each other, they respect each other as they normally do. And actually, rock concerts, metal concerts are actually some of the best concerts to go to. Sometimes I hear that, you know, rap concerts are a little bit rough and people get into fights and blah blah blah. But for the most part, I think rock and metal concerts are very good places for people to go to feel safe, just to go and enjoy. Like you said, forget about the week, go out, dress up, have a good time, have a couple drinks with your friends or not, and just enjoy the music.
It's a whole experience, and you know, all bands love being a part of that experience for people. And what we're doing, we're creating, it's all just expression, you know. So if people can connect to that, whether it's to, you know, the music, whether it's to Nathan's lyrics, you know, that come from his heart, and the way that he performs that, you know, in any way they can connect with it, that's what kind of creates the experience of letting go of your week, having a beer, and just enjoying a good rock show with some wicked vocals, man.
Well, I think we should end the stream on this note, because we have one of the comments says, Dany is pretty cool, eh? And I must agree, Dany is very cool, and I'm super glad to have done this live stream with you. And Dany, you know, I hope after this stream, you and I can keep in touch and DM Absolutely. Each other, and I really hope that we can create a relationship, as I do with as many people as I can that are doing these live streams. I love keeping in touch, and I will definitely keep you in the loop with this radio thing that I got coming up, and whatever else. And so, is there anything that you want to say before we end the stream? Is there anywhere that people that are looking to follow you personally or the band that you should, is Instagram better than YouTube, or what's the best thing for you guys?
I would say, as we're on Instagram, obviously that's a great platform as well to follow us. But follow the band or whatever you like. Facebook is great, Instagram is great, YouTube, obviously we have previous videos on there, and new stuff will be coming out soon.
Yes.
So follow the band, follow what we're doing. You can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and pretty much all social medias, YouTube, whatever. But yeah, if you like rock music and want to come to a show, please just grab a ticket, come hang out, have a beer, forget about your week. If you love rock music, love great vocals, then check us out on YouTube, Instagram, whatever you want, man. But yeah, thanks for watching and thanks for having me, guys.
If you love great vocals and if you love great guitar playing,
there you go.
and I really do hope that either we bump into each other on tour, or I get a chance to meet you, and we have a beer together, and I would love to see your band, of course, and maybe you guys can make it out to Finland.
We'll be in touch and love to hang out sometime, man.
Excellent, fantastic. Dany, thank you very much, man. It's been a pleasure having you on. You seem like a really cool dude. So let's end the stream here. And what I normally say at the end of every stream, I will see you on the next stream. Rock and roll. Say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.